groups, but also among private organizations related to the environment. There's been an emphasis on recycling, reduce, reuse, recycle, especially in the building industry with the U.S. Green Building Council and LEED certification. All they look at is the recyclability of the product. They don't look at its life, how it's maintained, and that perhaps with free markets, that view could be expanded to include other aspects that would maybe contribute to better environmental health and conservation.
You're right. I mean, I love these questions because you just kind of answered my, you gave the answer.
I didn't think so. I'm sorry.
No, but that's perfect. I mean, the problem is that a lot of times with recycling, we don't look at the whole picture. You know, sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't. Right? Recycling is a manufacturing process, right? And so it takes a lot to recycle. So I mean, I think the answer is that you just have to be careful. You have to look at every single project, you know. And apparently what I hear from this LEED certification is it's very, very easy to get. It's sort of a fraud in a way. It's a tax break. Exactly. So obviously there's built-in problems in that.
How do you reconcile your views with the fact that with the polar ice caps melting, we're getting the extinction of the polar bear, and they say the elevator current that keeps England warm is going to stop when the ice caps go away. Like, aren't those real concerns?
You know, I'm not a climate scientist. I don't know. I'm a political scientist. But, you know, even if they are concerns, I mean, my point that I'm trying to make here today is just that government solutions are not the most efficient solution. So, yeah, you know, let's look at the private sector and first to figure out if those are real problems, what that means, if it's just a trend, you know, that's come and gone over many, many centuries. And if so, I think we need to let markets do what they do best, let individuals find solutions.
Can I make a comment on that?
Or
the ice, just a quick comment. The ice masses in Antarctica, you know, the South Pole, the other side from the north, are the largest today than they've ever been in the history of Earth.
I don't think so.
Yes, sir.
I mean, there's just so much information out there is the point that it's hard to know what the truth is.
And the polar bears are doing very well.
One question here, one question.
I'll let Rick.
One question here, and then here.
Okay.
That is not correct.
From the reading I've done and the studies that I've done in climatology, it's my
Oh,
understanding.
good. A real climate scientist.
Well, not really, but I have studied it somewhat. And what I understand is that the amount of carbon in the atmosphere from ice core samples going back thousands of years has actually in the past has been greater than it has now, the days of the dinosaurs and what have you. But we don't know what catastrophes took place then.
Right.
And you know, because we got ice ages come in and go out as time went by. But for the last few thousands of years, it's been fairly stable at 540 parts per million carbon. In the last 200 years, it now has hit 840, and it seems to be growing by about 2 or 3 parts per million a year at the moment. So I didn't understand how you could have said what you did, which was that even if we shut off emissions completely, that it would continue to grow, where the record seems to show before, the industrial civilization, it was fairly stable for a couple of thousand years, at least.
Well, I mean, the numbers that I'm looking at, and I'm basing this on people like Bjorn Lomborg and Indor Golklani at Cato and Steve Hayward at AEI, but they're saying that the man-made effect on that is only very small.
Right. Right. It is. It's not.
Right.
By no means as exaggerated as they're making it out to be.
Right. I mean, I think the bigger point to make that I want to make tonight is if I can look into the crystal ball, which I hate to do after bashing people in the past 40 years for doing, but even if you look just 15 years ago, right, we wouldn't imagine that almost a lot of people have laptops to be carrying around, that we'd have cell phones, people in Africa are doing mobile banking, that we now have TVs that are 3D. And I think in the next 15 years, I'm willing to bet we'll have a different kind of car that doesn't produce emissions. You know? I'm rationally optimistic, I guess.
Well, I think you need to give credit where credit is due. I mean, the fact that you can quote and say that we have the water quality in the United States and air quality have improved is only because people have had a conservation awareness and have moved towards a more greener things. And so you can't discount that. And they did that because of an awareness that we were using so much of our resources and going ahead much too fast and put the brakes on that. And even if they did it through government, I mean, I know you all have there's a problem with that, it was done. The fact is, after 40 years, you can say what you just said. You're right. I mean, they brought attention to it. My point was at what cost, and then also, I mean, just the bigger point in terms of the wealthier is healthier and richer is greener is, you know, once once people's bellies are full, they can think about the environment and they can think about all these things. It's not to be discounted. I mean, those things, human action did make those things possible. Exactly. Yeah.
Regarding the extinction of species, the story about elephants in South Africa, sorry, in Southern Africa, it's very interesting. Can you?
Yeah, are you talking about Campfire, that whole program? Okay, yeah. In Southern Africa, the system is different in that people can actually own the animal, and so they've started. They have hunting down there for species, and my boss Terry Anderson is an avid hunter. He's also an avid environmentalist. And what happens is he goes down to say South Africa. He pays a very large fee to kill a warthog, say. Wouldn't be my choice, but he just got a warthog. And then that fee goes to local communities to then create the incentive for local communities to value the species. And with the elephant, we've seen the numbers rise dramatically, actually for most of the species.
Instead of poaching to get the...
right, exactly. Instead of poaching, it used to be they get money for the tusks, exactly. And now they get money from the hunters. So they just changed the incentive structure.
So don't you think the real point is that we all really need to get together on this and hear you and everybody else and see what we can do to make it better all around? And you can see in China at the Olympics, for instance, in Beijing, the sky got blue. I could tell which photographs I took early on and late on by how blue the sky was.
And it's amazing how quickly that happened because my mother was there a month before that. They made her wear a mask all over. And then we're actually seeing blue skies.
Children, we were told we had never seen a blue sky. They didn't know the skies were supposed to be blue. But we all get together here and there, and the environmental side and the industrial side, we can make it better. Because if we can make it bad, we're smart enough to make it better.
I mean, I think that is the message, that there's hope, and we don't have to be so gloomy about it, and we can actually celebrate 40 years of being wrong and move forward.
So we don't have to worry about 2012 anymore?
Nah, if I'm gonna look at my ball again, I think you'll be okay.
Any other questions? I'll be with you. We'll be here for a while. Great. Thank you very much. Sorry. One more question, or two more questions.
Okay, and I'll be around too.
What suggestions would you give us as an island nation to convince the people of this country that this country is worth preserving?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, education would be a start. I mean, I have to say I was a little bit surprised when I drove through the middle of the island. I was actually trying to find the Herald Pond, and I ran into some sort of garbage dump and dead dogs. And I mean, there's a real disparity. I mean,
the whole island is a garbage dump.